Hi, this is Nilan. So today in this video we'll talk about how to create a floating action button in Flutter. The floating action button represents a critical user action on the screen. This widget looks like a rounded button floating on the bottom right corner of the screen, and hence it is very accessible and within the reach of the users. So for this example, I have created a sample project in Android Studio. Let's head on to that and see how it works. So as you can see in my sample example, I've created a sample Flutter application that works on both iOS and Android. Now in this application, we have like three classes. As you can see, we have like a my application, then we have home page, and we have home page state. Now there is a main method which is the entry point for all of our all the Flutter application. This is where the Flutter application launch. All the standard stuff. So let's head on straight to creating everything that you can see on the screen. So basically includes the app bar. There could be a floating action button, and there could be a body associated with it. Now to create a floating action button, we have the property. Let's use that floating action button property, and here we need to it takes the object of floating action button. Now we can create three ways a floating action button in three ways. There are three constructors within this class. Either use the default constructor, which is basically use the default styling for your action button, and there are other two options available, which you will see shortly in this video. Now let us create a simple action button here, and obviously this is empty, so we need to configure a few things. Like first thing we configure is we need to configure the on pressed state. So this is basically a function, mandatory function, which is required to create an action button. This represents what you do when user clicks on the button. For example, when user clicks on the button, you move to a different page or you do some action. So that action will be defined here. Okay, as a part of this example, I'm not doing that, but on pressed is one of the essential key property that you must define when you're creating a floating action button. Now this is having said and done, what we need to do now is let's create a child within the action button. So floating action button has a property called child, which basically takes let's say for now we use icons. Now I create a settings icon. I'm using the actions provided in the Flutter package. And the icons, let's use some colors to this action. I'm just using white for my action button color. Okay, now this is a basic floating action button we have created. Let's run it and see how it looks. So if you're compiling your application for the first time, it takes a while for the very first time, but in every other subsequent run, there is a hot reload is available in Flutter, which means that it doesn't have to go through the whole compilation process. Instead, it will come instantly, very quickly. Okay, so as you see, there is a floating action button created right here. Okay, now we can customize this action button color and everything else really. Let's see a color, because the background doesn't look really great on white color text. So let's use a color property, background color property. So for background color, I'm going to use colors.cyan, because that's the property color that I've selected here, and I'm going to use 800 shade. Now when you run it, as you can see, it doesn't need a lot of time, it just comes instantly. It is hot loaded. Now, so we have customized the background color, and we have also customized the the we have added an child, which is an icon. Now let's use certain other things. For example, elevation. Control the elevation property. Now you see what is elevation. Elevation is basically a shadow, which is, you see now you don't see any elevation here because we made it 0, whereas I can make the elevation property to 10 to show it little more shadow here. Okay, now let's go to a default elevation property. Maybe I think it is 4, but if you remove it as well, it will add the default elevation property. Okay, now the next thing that we want to do is, obviously this floating action button is a rectangular shape. Now let's change that to a circular shape. To make that a circular shape, what we can do is we can use the shape property available within floating action button. Okay, now within the shape, let's make it circular borders shape. Okay, now you see it is circular now, so you see the shape has been changed to a circular shape. But if you don't want circular shape, you want rectangular with more radius, with a customized radius, you can do that as well. And to do that, let's use shape and then round rectangular border. And within the round rectangular border, you need to pass certain other properties. For example, you can use border radius, and let's say border radius, I can use it as border radius dot circular dot circular radius, and I'm passing, let's say 20 pixels. The size is 20 dimension. 20 is basically a floating number. You provide 20, and based on that it will create a rounded rectangular border. Yeah, it's created a rounded rectangular border. Maybe you don't see a lot of difference, but if I change it to maybe let's say 2 or 4, you can see there's a subtle difference in how the button is appearing. Okay, so these are some of the basic customization that floating action button supports out of box, but there are a few more that we could do with it. Now how about making it little larger or making it little smaller? So first let's see how do we make it larger. So to make it larger, we can do we can use the constructor, the large constructor provided by the floating action button widget. So let's use that. So if you use the large button and save it, now let's go back and see that you can notice a huge floating action bar button has come up here. Now this is too big. You probably don't want to show that have such a huge huge button on your screen that looks like throwing on your face. But yeah, you have the option to customize if you ever want to have it. Now we have another constructor which makes it smaller than the regular size of the floating action button, and let's do that and see. Yeah, the screenshot as you see here is too small. It's a too small floating action button. But again, this is also quite a small action button to be visible on the screen and for the user, hence probably we don't want to use that as well, but yeah, you have the options. Now we have made, let's roll back that into the normal regular action button, which is the standard size here. Now we have other customization available as well. For example, how about showing a label or label alongside with the icon? If you want to do that, that is by default not supported within the default constructor of floating action button class. And in order to do that, what we need to do is we need to use the constructor called extend. Using the extend constructor, we can achieve showing an icon and a label side by side. But the extend constructor doesn't have a property called child. Instead, it comes with two other properties. One is label, in order to display the label that you want to display. The label property, you can pass a text widget into it. Now let's create a text widget and pass the label settings. Okay, now as you see, the label is appearing on the floating action. Let's create an icon. Again, I'm going to use the same code here which we created earlier. Okay, now you see there's an icon appears which is a white color because we have colored it here, but because the label we haven't passed any color, it is using the theme color, which is the dark text. Now let's change that to a white text so it looks more good. And to do that, we can use the style property within the text widget, and the style property takes text style, and within the text style we have a color. Okay, now as you can see, both the icon and the label are appearing in a white color, and they also appear side by side. This is how we create a floating action button, and we have gone through all the various possibility of customization supported in Flutter. I hope this video helps you to further your Flutter learning journey. Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe my channel if you like our videos. Thank you very much.